Welcome to Real Reddit Stories. Today we have 3 insane stories. Let me know in the comments which one shocked you the most. For 12 years, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Marcus traveled for work constantly, sometimes gone 2 weeks at a time, but he always came home with gifts and stories about boring conference rooms. I never questioned it. Why would I? He was the most devoted father to our 2 daughters, coached their soccer team when he was home, never missed a birthday. Last month, Marcus had a heart attack at 43. When the hospital called, they asked if I was the wife from Columbus. I said no, I'm his wife from Indianapolis. The nurse went completely silent. I drove to that hospital shaking so hard I could barely grip the steering wheel. When I arrived, there was a woman in the waiting room with 2 boys, who looked exactly like my husband. She was wearing a wedding ring. She introduced herself as Marcus's wife of 9 years. We sat together for 6 hours while he was in surgery, piecing together the elaborate web of lies. He had 2 phones, 2 mortgages, 2 sets of in-laws, who thought they knew him. His business trips were literally just him driving between his 2 lives. The other woman, Jennifer, showed me photos of their wedding. He wore the same suit he wore to our vow renewal. Here's what destroyed me most. He was a better father to her kids. More present, more patient. I found out later he'd told her he traveled for work too, but only 1 week a month. We got the scraps of his time. My daughters got the exhausted, distracted version while her boys got the fresh, energetic dad. Marcus survived the surgery. When he woke up and saw both of us standing there, he actually asked the nurse if he was dreaming. Jennifer and I have become something like friends now, united in our fury and our heartbreak. We're both filing for divorce. We're also both testifying in his fraud case, because it turns out he claimed both families as dependents for taxes. My daughters don't know yet. They think Daddy is recovering from being sick. I have no idea how to explain that their father is a complete stranger, who built his entire existence on lies. Now for the next story. Alright, story number 2 is even crazier. Caitlin and I met freshman year of college, and were inseparable for 15 years. She was my maid of honor, the godmother to my son, and the person I called every single day. When I got denied for a mortgage last month due to existing debts, I thought it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was 8 years of Caitlin systematically destroying my credit while pretending to be my best friend. She had opened 11 credit cards in my name, taken out 2 car loans, and even filed a fraudulent tax return. The total damage was over $200,000. She knew everything about me. My social security number from when we were roommates, my mother's maiden name, every security question answer. She'd been doing this since my wedding, which I now realize is when she had full access to my documents while helping me organize. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. She sat at my kitchen table, drank the coffee I made her, and said, "I didn't think you'd ever find out." Like that was a reasonable defense. She explained that she'd gotten into financial trouble and just needed a temporary solution. 8 years of fraud was her temporary solution. The worst part? She spent the money on absolutely nothing important. Clothes, vacations, restaurant meals. She went to Bali 3 times on my stolen identity while I was budgeting groceries and driving a 15-year-old Honda. I cancelled our trip to visit her last year because I thought I couldn't afford it. She paid for her ticket with a credit card in my name. I pressed charges. Everyone in our friend group called me heartless and said I was ruining her life over money. Her mother sent me a letter calling me vindictive and unchristian. But I have a son who deserves a home, and this woman stole that from us without a single moment of hesitation. The detective told me this is one of the most thorough identity theft cases he's ever seen. She was meticulous, organized, and completely sociopathic. I gave her everything, including 15 years of love and loyalty. She took everything else herself. Now I'm rebuilding my credit score and my ability to trust anyone at all. Now for the next story. And our final story today. For 3 years, my boss Derek made my life a living nightmare. He took credit for my projects, screamed at me in meetings, and once told HR I had attitude problems when I asked for a raise. I documented everything, but corporate protected him because his department hit targets. I was ready to quit last summer. Then I found his Reddit account completely by accident. Derek had a very specific hobby: collecting vintage typewriters. He mentioned it constantly, showed us photos, even brought one to the office. One night I was browsing a typewriter subreddit and saw a post with a machine I recognized from his desk. I clicked the username, and my jaw dropped. His account was 6 years old and absolutely unhinged. He posted constantly in management and workplace subreddits, bragging about how he manipulated employees and kept them desperate. He described specific incidents I recognized immediately, including the time he deliberately sabotaged a coworker's presentation. He admitted to falsifying expense reports. He even posted about an affair with someone in accounting, describing her tattoo that made her instantly identifiable. I spent 2 weeks screenshotting everything, creating a timeline, matching his posts to real events. When he bragged about firing someone for being pregnant, I cross-referenced dates with our department history. Every post was evidence of something actionable. I sent an anonymous email to corporate legal with the full documentation. I also sent relevant screenshots to 3 different people he'd wronged over the years, including the woman in accounting, whose marriage he'd apparently destroyed. The investigation took 4 months. Last Friday, Derek was escorted out by security. Not just fired, but facing potential criminal charges for the expense fraud. The woman from accounting is now a witness in his divorce proceedings after his wife received anonymous information about his posts. My coworkers think karma finally caught up with him. Nobody knows it was me, and nobody ever will. I've already been promoted to take over half his responsibilities. Yesterday I sat in his old office and typed my first email from his desk. Some people say revenge isn't worth it. Those people have never had a boss like Derek. Watching him carry his typewriter collection to his car in a cardboard box was the most satisfying moment of my entire career.